Good morning, Britain. Another young person makes claims about a BBC star saying they broke lockdown rules for an illicit meeting. The Sun reports the still unnamed presenter travelled to meet in the young person's flat, sending money and studio selfies, while the BBC itself alleges he sent another person abusive texts.
The first of up to 1,700 asylum seekers are set to move into a former RAF base in Essex this morning, despite a backlash from locals.
The father of Ellie Edwards says he hopes her murderer rots in hell. He tells us this morning how he wants to end Merseyside's plague of gun violence when he joins us for his first live television interview.
And does Britain have a problem with booze?
I didn't one day wake up and say, I'm giving up drinking. I just, like many Brits, had a very, very boozy December.
Spider-Man star Tom Holland says he was enslaved to alcohol, and nearly 1 in 10 men drink every day. But do you need to go totally sober to be free?
Another day of sunshine and showers, and this theme continues all week long. I'll have all the details of that and more coming up on Good Morning Britain.
Wednesday, 12th of July, 2023. Live from Television Centre in London. This is Good Morning Britain with Susanna Reid and Ed Balls.
Very good morning to you. It is 2 minutes past 6. This is very interesting what Tom Holland is saying, that we have a kind of problem with booze culture and he was enslaved to alcohol. He's been pretty open and honest about how he decided to go sober. I think a lot of people do find that it is a problem going out without drinking. I'm pretty much booze-free, but to have an enjoyable night out when people are changing from hour to hour, progressively getting more and more tipsy, you do kind of feel like you're missing out a little bit on the good time.
This is a, to me, completely theoretical prospect. I have no idea what you're talking about. So what means that if you don't drink on a night out, is that how it feels?
Yes, right. I think it does. Let's have a listen to what Tom Holland, Spider-Man, said.
I didn't one day wake up and say, I'm giving up drinking. I just, like many Brits, had a very, very boozy December. And I've always been able to drink a lot. I think I get my genes from my mum's side in that thing. Like I can drink. And I decided to just give up for January. I just wanted to do dry January. And all I could think about was having a drink.
All you could think about was having a drink. And when you're surrounded by people having a drink, it's obviously the thing you're thinking about is having a drink.
But if you take that fact that that 1 in 10 men drink every day, they're not going out every day. I mean, there may be some are, but actually, you know, drinking at home is the thing which has really changed in my lifetime. I think when I was little, drinking at home was much less common because it was much more expensive to, you know, buy a bottle of wine was so expensive back in the 70s. But the other big change is that now to drink non-alcoholic drinks is just much better. So kind of in the last 10 years, beer has totally transformed. Now, you know, to do a few brands, Heineken Zero or the new Days beers, they are really good. And compared to a few years ago, where, to be honest, if you went out to the pub with friends, but then you were driving, you had a non-alcoholic beer, one, it was hard to get them, and they tasted pretty poor. Now, they're everywhere, but more than that, they taste really, really good. And so I like it. The thing I would say, though, is that quite often, for me, the signal that you have a drink is a thing which allows you to relax. But you know, so finally, I've stopped working, I have a drink. Whether it has alcohol is less important than whether it is
the sort of...
the release, the signal moment.
Yeah. And you can do that with a cup of tea, can't you?
You can, but don't you find that if you go out, you know, for a night out with people who are not drinking, even though they're drinking alcoholic drinks, they can still get quite tipsy because they're in that mood.
That's right. There is a kind of psychological effect because when I do go out with groups of people who are drinking a lot, although I say actually it feels like you're having less of a good time than they are, you do sometimes I get up and you know, go
Gosh.
perhaps go off.
Get off the table, Susanna.
Yeah, exactly.
Why are you dancing on the
tables, just on fizzy water.
Well, there we are. You are a role model. Tom Holland, you want to know how to enjoy life?
Yeah, I'll go out with
way.
you, Tom Holland. We'll have a good night just on the fizzies. Here we go. We did ask, does Britain have a problem with booze? 77% agrees that we do. Do get in touch with us with your experiences this morning. Do you find it harder to go out and have a good time? I say that you can have that psychological effect of being tipsy even if you're just on the sparkling water, but I would say it's quite rare. It's not the common experience.
I would have a good time going out with you even if you weren't drinking.
I've been at an event with you and had a brilliant time not drinking.
Right.
It was your anniversary party.
That is true, my
of course. And I have to say, there wasn't very much drunken behaviour there. Everyone was having a good time on various levels of alcohol.
They still
imbibing.
drank quite a lot.
Did they?
Yeah.
Did the bill look like, a lot of people? Yeah, OK, fair enough. 6 minutes past 6, our main news this morning, the fresh claims published by the Sun newspaper this morning against the unnamed BBC presenter, alleging that he broke COVID lockdown rules to meet someone in their 20s.
The unnamed star is reported to have travelled to the young person's home in February 2021 during the lockdown after meeting on a dating app while COVID restrictions prevented people from meeting anyone outside their household or bubble. And Nick Dixon for the third day running at Broadcasting House. Nick, this story seems to get more and more complicated for BBC management. Every day, every hour, it seems to be changing.
It really does, and now more claims, more allegations about this presenter's behaviour and conduct, which continues to be, of course, embarrassing and very damaging for the BBC. Not just the BBC itself, the corporation, but of course the staff and this presenter's colleagues, his on-air colleagues, many of whom have been on the receiving end of unfounded allegations at this point on social media. So yes, that pressure is increasing on the BBC and on the presenter itself to come forward by the hour, as you say. Let's just take a breath and see where we are with this story for the moment. Look at the key developments here. So allegations now from a third young person. Claims in the Sun that the presenter broke national lockdown rules to meet after initial contact on a dating app. Remember, at that time, February 2021, people were required to stay at home and could only leave with a reasonable excuse. The second set of allegations against the presenter come from an individual in their 20s, saying they had contact online and then had abusive, threatening and expletive-filled messages from them. Now, there's been a number of calls for the presenter to reveal his identity. BBC presenter Jeremy Vine last night tweeted, "I'm starting to think the BBC presenter involved in the scandal should now come forward publicly. These new allegations will result in yet more vitriol being thrown at perfectly innocent colleagues of his. And the BBC, which I'm sure he loves, is on its knees with this. But it's his decision and his decision alone." BBC Director General Tim Davie has admitted it's very damaging for the BBC, but defended the pace of the initial response.
When the information came to me on the 6th of July, I think we acted very speedily. It is a very difficult and complex situation, and we're trying to calmly and judiciously navigate our way through quite difficult circumstances. We now need to let the police do their work in terms of seeing the evidence and making their call with regard to further activity.
First time he's spoken publicly about the sort of competing demands that he's balancing with this story. But the fact is, there is still so much about this that we just don't know. And in the short term, that's really only going to change if this presenter comes forward.
Nick Dixon, thanks very much indeed. That's our main news this morning. We'll discuss that with Andrew and Kevin in just a moment. First, though, here's Charlotte with the rest of the day's news.
Susanna, thanks very much.